So having an emotional response is not uncommon, and this links to our think, feel, do model. So how you think about a piece of feedback will determine how you feel about it, and how you feel about it will determine what you do with it, so how you act and behave from the back of that piece of feedback. So if someone reacts really badly to a piece of feedback, and you haven't been able to get the conversation back on track, the likelihood is that they're stuck in that feel area, so they can't get beyond that fight or flight mentality. So continuing the conversation is probably the worst thing to do. So we recommend you end it at this point and agree to continue at a later stage. This will give you some time to prepare the frame again by thinking about how you can state your intention and gain agreement, avoiding any unhelpful negative emotions.
Well, of course, it's possible that you're given feedback that you may feel is inaccurate, but what's important here is how you respond to that. So regardless of whether you agree or you disagree with what's been said, there's a misconception there. First, this means acknowledging, not necessarily agreeing with, their feedback, and then moving on to exploring in an open way with them why they have this perception, what it is that they've observed, and what might be causing the difference of opinion between you. This could then shed some light and really open up dialogue. So here you really need to give them the feedback about your perception of them being unwilling to accept any feedback. So at this point, don't try to force the feedback onto the individual. Go through each step of our framework and convey the impact that this behaviour is having, both on the individual relationship, their development, and the wider team.
So this is a common challenge for companies in the retail industry. There tends to be a perception that when employees are taken aside on the shop floor, they are in trouble. And as they haven't been told the intention of the conversation, they're probably thinking the worst. In this situation, we recommend you start your frame as you're walking to the meeting. This way you're acknowledging the elephant in the room and avoiding any unnecessary negative emotions. As a result, this should also have a rippling impact to other employees in the organisation.
So essentially, giving upwards feedback shouldn't be approached any differently. So use your judgment, ensure you're well prepared, and refer to our SHIFT framework. These are all principles that apply to any feedback scenario. The key here is context and thinking about how you should adapt your approach to have the most constructive conversation with the person you're giving feedback to. So write down some details on how you'll frame the conversation, what your stated intention is for having it, and how you will gain the recipient's agreement, and so on. By reading this through before having the conversation, you should be better prepared mentally on the structure of it, enabling you to apply your natural feedback style.
So it's important that the person delivering a piece of feedback takes some form of ownership, even if it's been provided by others. It can be tempting to make the conversation less awkward by distancing yourself. This is not advisable. If you agree to deliver feedback, you also must agree with this. Of course, it's useful to get as much information as possible before delivering the piece of feedback. Another way to go is to encourage the individual who mentioned the feedback in the first place to have a direct conversation with the feedback receiver. Of course, only if appropriate and if they feel confident in doing so.